So we covered a story recently about how Joe Rogan is just absolutely desperate to wash the stench of Trump and MAGA off himself. As you all know, he hopped on the bandwagon in the last election. He was literally at the inauguration, y'all. He was like a guest of honor at the inauguration. He got shout-outs at the fucking victory speech, okay? This guy was an unofficial campaign surrogate. That's what he was. He had on Trump, he gave him a hot stone massage, he played patty cakes with him, he powdered his bottom and told him he was special. You all know this, everybody knows this. He went full-on right-wing hack. Now here's the thing though. Joe always generally liked to position himself as, you know, I'm like an enlightened centrist, right? I'm above the fray. I'm not right-wing, I'm not left-wing. I have some right-wing ideas, I have some left-wing ideas, but really I'm just about reason, I'm just about logic, I'm about, you know, the common sense position on the different issues, and I'm kind of an enlightened centrist. So this was the lane he wanted for himself, but he got a little high on his own supply, he snuggled up to the wrong people, and he ended up going full MAGA. Now the problem is, he now realizes how bad that looks. He now understands, oh shit, what have I gotten myself into? I basically told 50 to 60% of the country to fuck off, and that I hate them, in so many words, right? I kind of made clear this is a right-wing safe space. My podcast is now a MAGA safe space. And so he made his bed, and now he's going to sleep in it. So now that Trump is building concentration camps and rounding up innocent people and bombing random countries and destroying the economy and raising taxes on regular people while cutting them on the mega wealthy and kicking people off their health care, and now that everything is going to shit, he's slowly trying to tiptoe out of the room and pretend like, I was never even that big on the guy. I don't even know what you're talking about, bro. And things haven't changed. I'm the same as 2017 Joe, 2018 Joe. That was the Joe Rogan who back in the day, I would go on his show and I would, you know, talk about the things I normally talk about, and he would nod along in agreement. But that's the thing, right? Is he's always been a little bit of a two-face. He's always spoken with a forked tongue. Right? Because he has me on, he nods along in agreement to everything I say and agrees with it. And then he has on Ben Shapiro and he does the same thing. Well, I got news for you, Joe. That's not possible. Me and Ben disagree on 99% of things. If you're agreeing with everything he says in one podcast and everything I say in another podcast, that's called you're wishy-washy. That's called you've committed to nothing. That's called you believe in nothing. That's called I go with the vibes and the flow, bro. That's what that is. And so here we are in the year 2025. Trump is desperately trying to wash the MAGA stench off him. So he invites on Duncan Trussell. Now, who is Duncan Trussell? Duncan Trussell is one of the OG Joe Rogan Experience guests and a good friend of Joe's. And Duncan Trussell was the guy who warned Joe before his podcast blew up to this behemoth that it became. He said to him, you got to be careful, man. There's going to be a lot of nefarious characters who are going to try to weasel their way onto your show. We're going to try to feed a dark agenda and try to serve their own interests and use you. And Joe said at the time, jokingly, like, I'm an American. You won't be able to do that to me. Well, come to find out, that's exactly what fucking happened. But this guy also, Duncan Trussell, is also the guy who's one of his more left-leaning guests. And so I believe it was in 2017 or 2018, he came on Joe Rogan's show and Joe went on this massively pro-immigrant rant. Because this is how it works. When Joe's sitting across from somebody who leans left, he'll say left-wing shit. When he's sitting across from somebody who leans right, he'll say right-wing shit. He's a chameleon. He's a shapeshifter, right? So here we go. This is what he just had Duncan Trussell on again, and listen to the rant he goes on about immigration. This is something. Watch.
Let's just talk about the immigration thing. The way it looks is horrific. When you're just arresting people in front of their kids and just normal, regular people that have been here for 20 years, that everybody who has a heart can't get along with that.
No.
Everybody who has a heart sees that and goes, that can't be right. That can't be right. That can't be the only way to do this.
Right.
Because you have to think, look, yeah, we have to have a border. Yes, it should have been secure. Yes, they should make sure you know who everybody is before they get in.
Yeah.
But when people have been here for 20 years, like, come on, man. That's crazy. Like, let's find a way. If they've been productive members of society for 20 years, no criminal record, they worked the entire time, they paid taxes, find them a pathway to citizenship. Find a way where you can do this thing that you want to do, which is keep terrorists and cartel members from getting across the border with drugs that kill 100,000 people a year. Okay, but also have a fucking heart. Because if you don't, you're not going to get anybody on your side. If you're doing this stuff publicly, throwing women to the ground, handcuffing people, just for existing on the wrong side of the dirt.
Yeah.
Not a criminal. Not the only crime they ever committed was coming over here as a kid.
Yeah.
They probably didn't even know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
You know, a lot of kids got snuck across when they were already born in Mexico. And they've grown up their entire life in America. They can't even speak Spanish.
He acts like, who could have seen this coming? I thought he was just going to go after the criminals. Really, the mass deportation now signs didn't tip you off as to what was coming? Because I got news for you. In order to do mass deportations, you can't just go after criminals. That's not how it works. The percentage of undocumented immigrant violent criminals in this country is infinitesimally small. It is tiny. And so you blow through deporting all them in like a week. So what are you going to do the rest of the time? No, mass deportation now meant exactly what it said. Mass deportation now. And that's exactly what he's doing. And so he's rounding up innocent people all across this country. He also did the thing where they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. That was about legal immigrants. Legal immigrants. So it was very clear he's going to go after legal immigrants. He's going to go after green card holders. He's going to go after people who simply disagree with him, right? He's going to go after the homegrowns. The homegrowns. We're going after the homegrowns. So it's just incredibly naive to say this. Now, by the way, if you read the comment section of this episode of Rogan, it's all of Rogan's right-wing MAGA fans who are blasting him over this. They're blasting him over this. Acting like Joe is being the unreasonable one by saying, hey, only go after the criminals. So, like I said, chickens are coming home to roost. You made your bed and now you're sleeping in it. You fucking alienated every single person who's center to center left to far left from your audience. Now, you got, congratulations, you got Rush Limbaugh's audience. You got Sean Hannity's audience. I hope you're happy. And now when you say, hey, maybe we should only go after the criminals, that's the reaction from your own fans. And this is, the Vanguard guys made a great point. They said this is like him and Duncan Trussell trying to recapture the old magic. This is back when Rogan was the most relevant he's ever been. He was like the king of online media, the king of the podcast world. And back then, he went on this famous rant, but it didn't ring as hollow because back then he had never endorsed Trump. In fact, he had supported Bernie. And so somebody who supports Bernie doing this rant, well, that makes perfect sense. But then this same guy, keep this in mind, guys, this is so important. This same guy from this rant that you're about to watch from, I think, 2018, he went on to endorse Trump and coddle his nuts.
A lot of people online talking about this immigrant issue, and they either don't have kids or they don't think it could happen to their kids. Their idea is, hey, shouldn't have fucking come over here. You get those kind of people. Broke the law. Shouldn't have fucking come over here if you kid. You didn't want to get your kids separated. If you were in the presence of a woman who came over here from Guatemala and she's poor and she's starving and they're taking her baby away and she's wailing and screaming from a primal place in her DNA that the one thing she loves more than anything is being taken away. A baby. Yeah. If that doesn't freak you the fuck out, you're not a part of the team, man. You're missing it. You're missing it. What are we here for? We're here for 100 years of whatever. That's what we're here for. If you want to spend 100 years saying, hey, you should have fucking broke the law, I don't want you on the team. You're an asshole, right? And I don't give a fuck if you're right or left. I don't care if you're religious or I don't care if you're an atheist. If that's what you support, you're an asshole, and we don't want you on our team. Okay? So, but if you agree with certain economic policies that I don't agree with, and we could have a discussion about it, we could figure out why you agree, and we could figure out why people are allowing all of this money to get into politics. Why are we allowing all these special interest groups and lobbyists to interfere with our laws and influence our politicians and create all this shit that we don't want? Well, here's the number one reason. You can't just vote online. You can't just vote. It's not one person, one vote.
You get the gist of it. Some people might watch this segment and might say to me, well, Kyle, what the fuck? At least he's breaking with Trump now. So why don't you just accept it? Well, here's the problem, right? In the midst of doing this rant that he just did, saying something that's like more pro-immigration than anti-immigration, that's great. But you'll notice something. There is never a direct Trump call-out. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because he's in the club. He's in the inner circle. Like I said, he was at the inauguration. He's buddy-buddy with all these people who are like top officials. He had J.D. Vance on. He had Trump on. He's Dana White is his boss, but also his friend. And Dana White is one of the biggest Trump supporters in the world. And so he doesn't have it in him to do a clean, hard break and say, look, I fucked up. We should have supported Kamala. She would have been way better than this. Donald Trump is a charlatan and a con man and a fraud. Here's how we fucking lied to you. He doesn't have that in him. And so instead, it's these tepid rants where he'll say something that disagrees with Trump's ideology, but he won't call out Trump directly. And again, By the next show, he'll go right back to bashing wokeness and bashing, liberal states and things of that nature. So here's the thing. Is this better than him continuing to jack Trump off and singing his praises and using his name while giving him credit? Sure, it's better than that. And my response to him saying more liberal things or left-wing things is, welcome, but also you can get to the back of the fucking line. Because guess what? I don't trust you, and nobody should trust you, because what did you do in the last election? You rode the wave, and you rode the vibes. It wasn't about policy. It was never about policy, and that's obvious. So, how do we know you're not going to ride the wave and ride the vibes the next time they fucking shift? And by the way, that's exactly what he's trying to do now, and that's what you need to understand. The same thing that made him endorse Trump and love Trump is the same thing that's now making him desperate to wash that MAGA stench off of him without fully alienating himself from the inner circle, right? He sees the vibes have shifted hard. He sees it's no longer cool to be MAGA. It's no longer cool to, ride that wave. That wave crashed into the rocks, as expected. That tends to happen when, all you do is cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels. That tends to happen when you keep bombing random countries. That tends to happen when you have concentration camps and your ICE Gestapo thugs are shooting priests in the face with pepper balls. So yeah, you're not cool anymore. And they're not going to be cool ever again. Trump will spend the rest of his time on this earth wildly unpopular. That's what will happen. That's what will happen. And so, that's where we're at, man. That's where we're at. And so, because the vibe shifted, now he's trying to shift with the vibes while also not alienating and isolating himself from Dana White and from J.D. Vance and from Donald Trump. And I mean, he's had fucking phone conversation with these people. He texts with these people. He's buddy-buddy with Elon Musk. He's an embarrassing sycophant to Elon Musk, who's the worst criminal of all of them, right? And so he's not going to do a hard break with those people. He's in the club. He's in the club. This is the most you're ever going to get from him. And again, you never hear the direct call out. It doesn't happen. So I don't trust him. You shouldn't trust him either. He rode the wave. He's trying to ride the wave again. But it would be great if he were to do a full, hey, I was fucking wrong. Full on mea culpa. Full on mea culpa, breaking up with these assholes. But he doesn't have that in him. This is the most you're ever going to get. And, I'll speak for myself here, but that ain't anywhere near enough. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.